They did a good job of giving Orton his heat back and adding some more heat onto onto the eventual rematch. Um, this match was as classic as you can get as far as a professional wrestling match. These guys put, um, this was to me, this was about, I think this was at like 21 minutes. Uh, no finishing moves actually were hit between the two guys. Randy Orton has been preaching a lot of this stuff, and not just on TV, but like on social media and interviews and stuff like that. That he likes the more old school approach of cutting better promos and not so much of the high flying independent styles that you see a lot on TV from a lot of these guys, or the NXT style and stuff like that. What we got was a good, solid wrestling match between Orton and Drew. Both guys hitting their stuffs, telling a good story. I think the crowd piping in kind of helped this match a little bit. I'll be honest with you, because we were talking about it too. Like, I think that was like 50% piped in crowd noise, if not more. And
I think so.
and a little surprising, this match wasn't the main event, but we'll get to the reason why later. Um, but we did not see this ending coming, as Drew McIntyre beats Randy Orton with a backslide.
A surprise backslide.
At the time I wasn't sure if I liked it, but the more I think about it, I loved it. I love that finish, mainly because on Raw, Drew McIntyre was able to say, "I beat the greatest wrestler," or just mocking him. "I beat the greatest wrestler in the world with a backslide." And you know what? I really enjoyed it, and I really, really, really enjoyed this match too.
I definitely enjoyed the match. I didn't enjoy the ending as much, but I, basically just because I wanted to see who was the big I guess who was the better of the two. But like anything, it depends on how the ending leads story wise. If they want to cut it off, that's not a good way to end it. But they're not cutting it off. What they're doing is building for even more, which is kind of weird. We have a several matches here that seem like they're just building for a bigger match at Payback.
Almost like
But
transitional in a way.
but SummerSlam is their big one, not Payback. It's
Yes.
Payback a week later, which we're not doing a preview of because we're reviewing SummerSlam. Maybe I'll do a preview of that too. If I got time to record stuff, I'll do a preview for Payback.
2020, such a weird year, even in pro wrestling.
uh, but yeah, I thought this was my most anticipated match. I was surprised it wasn't the main event, and again, we'll get to that why it wasn't, and it makes sense. So I'm not going to complain about it not being the main event right now. Had a nice steady pace again, as you said. Orton's been outspoken about the old school way of wrestling, being able to tell a story, being able to pace it out correctly, not being as high flying, fast paced all over the place. And specifically about that, I feel like either can be well. Either of them have their strengths. It just depends on how you work it. In a slower style match like this, if you don't have the story going, if you don't have the storytelling in the ring, the paint on people's faces, the selling of the moves, then it just becomes really, really slow and boring. With high paced, high flying matches, if there's no story going on, there's no selling going on. You just have people flying all over the place. It's entertaining as far as seeing the acrobatics that people can do, but I lose interest in it because I don't really care about what's happening. So they both have um, they're good and they're bad. And with Orton, Andrew, I feel like this pace, this type of match, was very, very interesting as well as they could do it. Um, let's see. So they told some story with as far as Orton was trying to hit the RKO several times and it wasn't working out, so he
He,
kind of put that move
I
away.
was gonna say, he tried it like 5 times in the first 2 minutes of the match. I thought it was a little surprising that he kept doing that, but I think that kind of
Uh,
led to the story of the match too.
yeah, exactly. And I think I don't know if this is part of it or not, but it looks like there isn't really a good way to counter the RKO. If people are going to block it, they block it, but they don't ever really like take, oh, you're trying this, I know it's coming, I'm gonna like do a backbreaker on you or whatever way you would counter that. So as far as again as storytelling goes, that's a movie you can try every once in a while because if you mess up, you're not getting punished really bad for it. So why not? But again, it wasn't working, so I put it away. As you said, they didn't hit any finishers. Although I'm starting to wonder if Orton's finisher is now the punt, or if that's just a big way to get heat off of other people.
If very
And
well,
that kinda
it might be. It's something that he's got. It's something they could use during the match, but the RKO is still considered a deadly weapon as well.
That reminds me too with the build-up for this match, which I think was built up just fine. I was really interested in this match, but they didn't have a whole lot of interaction between Orton and McIntyre. They had Orton doing all this stuff to the older legends to get heat, and they had Drew, who basically wants to put an end to it, cutting promos, maybe taking out some lesser people on matches on Raw. Or SmackDown, whatever show they're on here. SmackDown, I think, right?
Right.
Yes.
No, they're on Raw.
Are they?
Yes. Orton and McIntyre are on Raw.
Oh, yeah, they are. I just saw them last Monday. Yeah. Gosh, it's the stupid belt. This one's black. It's not red. I need a red and a blue belt because I'm dumb. But anyways, I thought it was built up kind of weird, but it did a good job, and I'm all for that. If it works, it works, and I'd rather see something tried a slightly different way to see if it works better than the same thing tried the same way every time, because it'll just start wearing off. The surprise roll up, again, it has its advantages in that again, we're building it up even further. Orton did say when in his match against Edge, when he lost the first time, that hey, that was just brutality, beating each other up. It had nothing to do with wrestling. It was just two people wanting to beat each other up, and I'm a wrestler.
Right.
And when you wrestle, a backslide win, even if you weren't the stronger man, proves you were the better wrestler. So what is Orton's excuse here? He doesn't really have one. He's just angry, and he's beating up Drew McIntyre on Monday Night Raw. And we're getting this second matchup at Payback, I believe. I don't know if it was officially announced.
Nope, it's going to be Orton versus Keith Lee at Payback.
Oh, that's right, yes. Yeah. Well, then I don't know what we're doing here.
I get a feeling, I guess it's going to be leading to Night of Champions, which would be the next pay-per-view.
I would have to imagine they're going to pay it off at some point.
Hell in a Cell might be appropriate for that one.
Yeah, because we didn't get, even if Drew got the win, Drew's prove he's a better wrestler because of the finisher there. We want to know who is better, who's going to dominate the other person and get that finisher for the pin. And hopefully we'll get that a little further down the road. But because we didn't get that, we didn't really get to see what happened. That docks it a little bit in my book. But I still give it 4 out of 5. I thought it was a really good match. I
gave this one 4.25 out of 5. I want to watch it again to see if I have the same kind of opinion on it. But I actually thought that this was really, really good. And I was actually really impressed with Orton because we've seen some pay-per-view matches from Orton in the past where he just doesn't, like, him and his opponent just don't connect or something, or there's been questions of Orton just kind of like just dogging it on pay-per-view against some younger guys in the past. Orton's had a history of some dodgy stuff, as we know. Might not want to shake his hand if you're in public, but
I'll continue that running joke as long as we live.
But anyway, I actually thought this was really, really good. And you know what? The thing that I like about the finish too is that it's not fluky enough to where it doesn't feel like anything is settled, but it is kind of fluky enough to where it feels like Orton still has a gripe. He's like, you beat me, but I still think I'm better than you, and I think you got lucky. Whereas McIntyre can just say, hey, you didn't hit your RKO. I played good defense against you, and you couldn't beat me. So, but we're definitely gonna get an eventual rematch sometime after Payback, probably at Clash of Champions. But good stuff all around on this one. Finally, we get to our main event, which was bald Braun Strowman, against The Fiend in a Falls Count Anywhere match. Both of us were a little bit surprised that this was the main event, but both of us kind of were, we saw the tagline, you'll never see it coming. We essentially saw that there was going to be some type of big twist either in the middle of the match, somewhere in the match, or somewhere at the end. I think we're both kind of leaning towards like, oh, I think that Otis might be the one cashing in tonight, because I don't think anyone's really predicting it. In fact, Otis has been kind of like, lying in the woods for a while, almost non-existent, which is kind of cool. And I mentioned this during our call that I think it's kind of cool because it's going to be more of a surprise whenever he does cash in or tries to cash in, instead of like he tries to cash in every week and doesn't do it and backs away, and then he does it. It's just like, yeah, you've been trying for like 8 consecutive SmackDowns, dude. You finally did it. So
that they do that a lot, and I do get annoyed by that. So yeah, I think the kind of taking him out of the equation and putting him back in might be a good way to try to insert Otis's briefcase if it doesn't literally just disappear.
So in this match, well, we'll tell you the winner first. The Fiend wins this match after hitting a couple Sister Abigails on exposed wood. Pause. The exposed wood literally meaning exposed wood, because Braun Strowman takes a I keep wanting to call it an X-Acto knife. It's not exactly an X-Acto knife, but he takes a box cutter. And look, I know this is WWE and you don't see this kind of stuff, but instead of actually stabbing the guy with the box cutter in a no disqualification match, technically it's legal. You can go stab your guy. He must not have gotten to the chapter in the New Jack Dark Side of the Ring episode. Like, oh, he took the knife and then he just stopped it right there. He's like, I bet he cut the ring up and slammed him on some wood. Yeah, let's do that. So instead of actually stabbing the guy with the box cutter, Braun takes like 5 minutes opening up the ring, looking like a total idiot, and then he gets beat on it. Like, oh my gosh. Like, I just thought, like, you know what? I'm fine with the Fiend winning it because Braun's reign was garbage, in my opinion. Not only was the booking for him not good, I just thought his performance throughout the entire thing wasn't very good either. Yeah, so instead of trying to stab the guy, he just decides to cut open the ring, and then he ends up losing. And the match itself was okay. It was kind of an interesting hoss battle, but it kind of slowed down by the end of it.
Yeah, and Game's saying that John wants you want Braun to go to jail.
It's legal in a Falls Count Anywhere match. You can stab the guy if he wants to.
So yes, I was not excited from the build-up. It had played out for a while, but it was built up in a dumb way. Basically, it wasn't really built up for me at all. Neither character seemed to be built up. Both characters seemed to have been dragged down, basically.
And really, the most interesting part of this entire storyline was Alexa Bliss's involvement, and she wasn't even involved in the match.
Yes, the story didn't even make a whole lot of sense with Strowman looking very heelish and having like a void of personality. He kind of had some personality before really this feud, before he had a reign. After he got the title, he's just kind of like the dude with the title. That was really all there was to it. Braun tries many things but can't seem to get the win. So he goes and gets a box cutter, a legit shank, and like he's going to stab Bray Wyatt. But instead he cuts open the mat to expose the floorboards. And if you watch him trying to cut open the mat, it's kind of funny how he can lift an ambulance over to its side.
Can't lift up styrofoam or whatever it is.
But he can't rip styrofoam.
Braun Strowman can't lift off the foam panels that I have in my room off the wall.
So he takes all the time getting the floorboards exposed, and he does nothing with it. He just gets hit on it several times. And the Fiend is the new champion. I wonder, is the Fiend face going to come back to the championship belt again?
Oh, God. Please no.
Or is he going to have the belt long enough to even have any personalized plates on it at all. Because after the match, we get Roman Reigns is back, and guess who called it? Mr. John Fuse right there, because I didn't mean to let your last name go. I hope you can forgive me. But Roman Reigns was on some of the advertising, not necessarily like, oh, guess who's back, but for example, the ice cream sandwiches.
I think
Roman Reigns is on
it. I didn't necessarily call that he was coming back, but I did notice him being in more of the advertisements or stuff. And I pointed it out, but I didn't necessarily think that was leading to his return here at SummerSlam, but maybe that there was something in the works for it somewhere down the line. But realistically, I didn't think that he would be coming back for a while because he doesn't have to. I mean, got the kids at home.
He left for safety reasons, and it's not really much safer now. Well, I guess it's a little bit safer because when Reigns left, there was basically no policy at all to prevent anybody from spreading the disease at all. Now there is a policy, and I don't know how great it is, but my point being, it's not exactly safe. But he's back. He looks jacked. He might have some extra tattoos. He
got some new veneers.
As the shirt says there, wreck everyone and leave.
Got some new veneers.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. I don't pay attention to people's teeth too much, so
they were.
I didn't notice, but we had him come in and wreck both The Fiend and Braun while yelling at them that basically they suck and they don't know how to run the show. And he goes a little overboard on his punishment. I don't know if this is because Braun is now somewhat heelish and it's okay to do, or if Reigns is coming out as a badass, not exactly a heel, but possibly a tweener. And he picks up the title, which means he wants the shot, and it's Reigns, and he's back. So, of course, he's going to get the shot. It's been announced, a three-way battle for Payback, and I honestly do think that Reigns is going to take the title from Bray after Bray only being able to hold it for a week because, one, they're wanting him to give up the title fast, and two, they're having a pay-per-view 1 week after the other pay-per-view. So is this the shortest pay-per-view to pay-per-view title reign?
For pay-per-view to pay-per-view, maybe. We've obviously had the short title reigns of 5 minutes.
Yes,
or 24-hour title reigns and stuff like that. But
yeah, we've had Charlotte win the title at a pay-per-view, and next Monday lose it to Bayley. Back and forth a couple different times, but yeah, I not that I'm a huge fan, have been watching forever. I don't remember them having pay-per-views in back-to-back weeks or weekends.
I don't know exactly what the point of it is. I know it's somewhere out there, but yeah, I mean, that's one of those things that was kind of like looming over this pay-per-view, and it almost made it seem like there are some people out there that were making it seem like that this was kind of a transitional pay-per-view to Payback. So you might see like a DQ finish here. So that's going to lead to a match at Payback, which is kind of interesting, but thankfully we didn't see that. We saw a lot of things that had some type of resolution, but are still going to be continued, like the Randy Orton versus Drew McIntyre thing. Obviously, The Fiend, Roman Reigns, and Braun Strowman, that's going to be spilled over to Payback as well. But that had a clear winner. Bray Wyatt, or The Fiend, ended up winning that match, clean as a sheet, as you can for a Falls Count Anywhere match. Nobody interfered or anything like that. But the overall thing to take away from this is Roman Reigns is back. I guess in that sense, he feels like it's a good enough time for him to come back. He can stay healthy. I think the idea with them filming at the Amway Center, I think people are probably going to be a little bit more spaced out backstage. So that's definitely a good thing, or at least I would imagine so, because the Amway Center is a big arena, whereas the PC, I mean, if you look at some of the drone shots of the PC, that place looks so much bigger on the inside than it does on the outside. It's crazy. There's questions on he could be the leader of Retribution. Game brought that up, but I've seen other people bring it up on Twitter as well. It's very possible. Look at the new shirt. A bit of a Stone Cold ripoff, but hey, you know what? If you're going to rip off somebody, Stone Cold might as well be the guy to do it from. but wreck everyone and leave. That is kind of Retribution's MO. So could he be leader of Retribution? I am really intrigued where they're going to go with Roman Reigns. To me, I will say this: as someone who has been critical of Roman in the past, I do think that this feels a bit like a fresh start. He came out, he wasn't cutting any promos. You could hear him trash talking, but he was trash talking. He seemed like to me, this feels like a fresh start. And I'm going to go cite a tweet from Ryan Satin, who I don't think he works for the WWE anymore, but he did have a role on WWE backstage. He tweeted out, things WWE should do with Roman Reigns now that he's back: ditch the chest protector and give him new music. I agree with both of those. The chest protector, I don't like it. That's a D'Lo Brown thing. That's D'Lo Brown's best thing. Let D'Lo Brown have his legacy with that. No, but seriously.
D'Lo Brown, it worked. It's a really good heel gimmick, to be honest. I was watching the old Raws not too long ago, and I hadn't seen much of D'Lo Brown, and I hated his guts because he was wearing the chest protector.
But I will say this, though. New music. Look, the Shield music is awesome, but the Shield is gone. Okay? Dean Ambrose, he's John Moxley now. He's in a different company. Seth Rollins is a completely different guy. Leave the Shield in the past. Let Roman Reigns be Roman Reigns. Let him be a new guy. Let him, kayfabe-wise, let that character forge his new path, right? Forget everything in the past. To me, this is a fresh start. Whether he's babyface Roman Reigns, whether he's heel Roman Reigns, or whether he's in the middle as a tweener. I am really excited to see what they're going to do with it. I'm really happy to see a little bit more star power on the show, too. Believe it or not, like it or not, Roman Reigns is definitely a star. So I am definitely excited to see him come back. I don't know if I want to see him win the title necessarily right away with, 7 days build up, but you know what I mean? He could be the leader of Retribution. There's a lot of different ways to go with him, and I'm really excited for it. As far as the match, I gave it like 2 out of 5. I thought it was okay.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, but you went ahead and answered. So I am willing to give Roman Reigns this a fresh start here. And it looks like, with the way they started off, if they can continue this, if they can continue with his character, whether it's building or establishing, I think he could become what they wanted him to be honest. He's somebody who's comfortable. He's somebody who's got the clout and I guess the look of someone that could run the WWE here. But the problem is that several different problems before building him up before, and that's not what we're here for. But this time off has given us time to get him to reset, to get him to come out, not have to transition from what he was before, but just a hard reset of who he is now. And I'm very hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful. So we'll have to see if they want to keep pushing him like they are now, because we've only had the one show to see, or if they're going to get scared and back him off and go, but what about the kids? The kids won't like somebody who's so aggressive. They want somebody to be like, hey, I'm going to hit you, but just once, because that's all you deserve. Or I don't want to be too mean. Or I need to give you a Superman punch.
Do we think that Brock Lesnar is going to attack Roman Reigns? No. I don't think
Legit,
I don't think we're going to see Brock back for a while, but with them doing stuff at the Amway Center, it might change things up a little bit.
So also 2 out of 5 for the match. It was fine, but it was cut short. I didn't really care for it. I didn't care who won it. There wasn't a whole lot going in on it, and it made Braun look dumb, which I guess they wanted a reason to get the title off him.
It really made Braun look dumb.
Yeah.
Why didn't he just stab the guy? That's a story that we're coming out of the match. Is like, why didn't he just stab the guy?
Yes, instead of stabbing him, I opened up the floor so that I could die on it. Good. So not much that. Yes, it's kind of sad that the takeaway from the match is something that happened after the match, but that is what it is. I am honestly kind of looking forward to this 3-way match.
That should be fun.
Yeah, because
We'll see.
there's
We'll see.
Roman's there, and he has two people to kick around for a while. Do you expect? I know we're not doing a preview show, but do you expect Roman to take the title right away?
I say yes because I'm sure Vince is desperate for some star power. Although the Fiend, I mean, really, I don't know if the Fiend is one of those guys who's going to draw ratings, but he's one of those guys who sells merch because he is such a marketable character in that aspect. So the Fiend is going to be around for a bit just because of that reason.
I would
But
say it would make more sense for the Fiend to hold on to the title for a bit because they just decided to dedicate so much time, several months, several pay-per-views for building up the Fiend versus Braun, and they're inserting Reigns in here. I mean, they could be inserting him just to extend the feud even a little bit longer. But if they're going to pay it off by basically not caring, throwing it away, and giving the title to Reigns, then what was the point of the excruciating buildup that they had?
right, I'm kind of on board with that too.
The thing is, though, that I think that they would actually just throw it out and not care, just be like, okay, this didn't work. Just give the title to Reigns. I don't know what to do. Just push it at him. Push it. Just don't. He doesn't even have to put it on himself. I'll snap it in the back for him.
But and another thing to think about too is that at the same time, I don't know if they want to give Roman Reigns the title with that short of notice. 7 days with that kind of build up, that's very, very short. But at the same time, like I said, Vince could be desperate for ratings. And you know what? Take a look at the Raw ratings. It might not have been for, it could have been because of the buzz of Roman Reigns coming back, but they gained 400,000 viewers compared from last week's Raw to this week's Raw. So there is definitely something positive coming out of it. That's the biggest jump back they've had in a while. That's the best show that they've had since right around WrestleMania time. So the fallout from SummerSlam definitely had some fans interested. Maybe they were just, maybe they saw that Keith Lee was coming to Raw and they're just like, oh shit, I gotta watch that, which would be awesome.
That was a very good advertising that instead of having him just appear as a surprise, because that I'm sure gained a lot of eyes that wouldn't have been there before.
It definitely could have. But overall, the pay-per-view I thought was good. The only I would probably give it a B minus. Nothing really bad on the show. Whenever nothing actually bad happens on the show, I find it hard to give it like a bad grade. Although sometimes the worst thing a show can do, just like a movie, is sometimes like you'd rather have a movie be super awful or super good than just be boring. But I didn't think this card was boring. I thought there was some very, very fun stuff to it. So like I said, somewhere B minus in there for me. I just think that the only real main issue that I had with it was just there was too many of the same style of matches by name, kind of, on the card, whereas I think they could have kind of varied it up a little bit.
Overall, for me, the only really disappointing thing for me was a lot of the payoffs not being there. We have a lot of delayed payoffs pushing it into either Payback or even possibly a little further beyond.
Yeah.
But what was actually there for the most part was good. Some surprises. Matches didn't go the way I thought they would. Not necessarily the way I thought they should, but just not the way I thought they would. So I'm giving it. I don't really do halves, but it'd be a 3.5. It's somewhere between a 3 and a 4.
He's cheating
overall. It's cheating for me. I'd say, yeah. It's
cheating
for me, but I can't decide.
We're pretty much on the same page on it.
Yeah. It was fine overall. As I was watching, I was kind of like enjoying it, not over the top enjoying it, but enjoying it. Looking back on it, I think I like it a bit more than when I was even watching it. Just kind of seeing the developments of some of the story and some of the things that I don't normally see from them, developing story and characters in good ways. Which, of course, there were some others that weren't developing in good ways, or not developing at all, or taking steps back. But hard because overall some of the things are going well and some things aren't, but that's how it usually is. So that's my full rating.
That's WWE in a nutshell for you. So again, we mentioned at the beginning of the show, no AEW tonight. How can Tony Khan not have the foresight to see that the players would be boycotting playing in the NBA? So you'd have it. No, that's a joke, folks. That's a joke. So AEW is going to be on tomorrow night. So we've got a little bit of Thursday night wrestling action on TNT, which is kind of nice. But we do have NXT tonight as well as Cardinal baseball, which I'm going to be watching.
Yes, I have a preview here for you if we got a little quick time here. So because AEW is tomorrow, they're already advertising their card, and it's not that far away. I wanted to cover both, but we're starting with NXT tonight. We have NXT champion Karrion Kross and Scarlett to kick off NXT. You have to imagine this has to do with both him winning the title and him losing his arm.
Losing his arm.
it fell off. I saw it. He might have put it back in, but
actually, have you? I thought I noticed it during Takeover. I don't know if you did, if you've seen the match, but after he landed hard on his shoulder, you could see some type of like a dent. I don't know if it's the right word, but it felt like something like kind of looked out of place, or maybe even slightly dislocated on his right shoulder. And I just thought, like, that might just be his muscle structure, his physique in general. And then you watch closely, like, dude, I think something's messed up with his shoulder. I really do. And not only that, he was kind of holding it, just kind of holding it off to his side or keeping it close to him too. So
that's what I noticed. I didn't notice when it happened, but I noticed him holding his arm for an extended period of time where I got a little doubtful. And then there was a moment where he was going to do chops with his arm that was dislocated.
Yeah.
And it was cringe-worthy, weak chops. I mean, good job selling still from was it Lee or whoever he was
Keith
fighting?
Lee, right?
Lee. But yeah, it was no muscle. It was just him rotating his shoulders so his arm will flop up there. I was like, oh man. Props for him for carrying on through the rest of the match, though. But yeah, so he's on to talk about his lack of arm and his arm for an arm match. We have Io Shirai and Rhea Ripley to battle Dakota Kai and Raquel Gonzalez, which actually should be pretty cool. I'm still impressed by Raquel Gonzalez. I like seeing Shirai and Ripley, and Dakota Kai's there too.
Big Mommy cool.
I have Tommaso Ciampa is returning. I don't know what he's doing, which probably means either a promo or he's just kicking a nobody's teeth in. And then we have Breezango challenging Imperium for the NXT tag titles. I like both these teams. I don't think that they're going to exchange titles today right after a pay-per-view, so don't expect too much from that. But I do like both teams. It should be pretty fun.
Believe it or not, the tag team titles do exist on NXT. It's kind of
yes, they show up every once in a while. So tomorrow for AEW, we have a tag team gauntlet match where we have the winners going on to face the Elite.
Paige and Omega.
Yes, and we have the Natural Nightmares versus the Young Bucks versus Best Friends versus FTR, which are the number 1, 2, 3, and 4 ranked tag teams in AEW right now. I love gimmick matches like this, and you can't really do a gauntlet match for a pay-per-view because gauntlet matches need to kind of be a way to earn a shot at something. So you get to see them on TV on regular matches, so this should be pretty fun. We have the contract signing for Jon Moxley and MJF. I don't know if I expect too much from the contract signing, but I'm sure it'll be a little bit of fun and hijinks.
Something will happen.
Yeah, we've had MJF selling his injury with a walker, which has absolutely nothing to do with his injury he's selling, but I love the over-the-top.
Did you hear Brian Alvarez say that if there was a perfect wrestler out there, MJF might be it?
I wouldn't disagree.
Because he loves him so much. Like, just making a point of him just being like a perfect heel. I love MJF as well.
He's good in the ring too. He tells a good story, not just with his mouth, but with his actions. I'd like to say that Luchasaurus could be that person, but he doesn't talk. He's a dinosaur. We have a tables match: Matt Hardy versus Sammy Guevara, grudge match. Expect to see some blood, intentionally or otherwise.
Right.
We have a handicap match: Big Swole versus Britt Baker and Penelope Cruz and Rebel. And I honestly expect Big Swole to take them all out. Is Britt Baker back to normal? Is she still hurt? I can't.
I imagine she's probably pretty close to being cleared, but I'm not sure if she's 100% cleared yet. But we'll see tomorrow. I think she's going to back out of the match at the last second or something. But
I actually think so too. And then we have Mr. Brody Lee, the new TNT champion. And we're going to find out more about him and more about Cody's over-the-top injury that's going to put him off the TV for a little bit, probably just to sell how awesome Mr. Brody Lee is. And I'll go over this more later, but I am so happy that Brody Lee won the title, not just because I like Brody Lee, I like the Dark Order, I like him being the leader of the Dark Order, but I'm so tired of building up these heel factions and heels that's so mighty, and when it comes for him to challenge for the title, they fall short and then they disappear, and because it kind of ruins their I guess their build when they can't take down their
can't win the
rival.
big one.
Yeah. It'll kill their heat so fast. So he has the title. Not only does he have the title, he took Cody down in surprisingly brutal fashion.
He killed Cody.
He did, and
let's be honest, he killed him.
This is what I'm going to go over a lot of. I want to do a Raw and AEW review. I'm going to put on YouTube, which we've plugged a few times. But again, check out our YouTube, see our extra content, and any part of today that you have missed, we will have it up there.
Yes, absolutely. We're going to conclude our show there. You guys enjoy your night. Unfortunately, we have no basketball, but that is a much bigger situation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed SummerSlam. We had a lot of wrestling over the weekend, and we're going to have some wrestling over this upcoming weekend too. So we'll probably have some payback thoughts if anything crazy happens. I don't know if we're going to do a full review or anything like that next week, but we should be back online next Wednesday, 5 o'clock Central Time, 6 o'clock Eastern. So make sure you guys check us out next week. I also might be a little bit live later tonight. Still haven't decided yet, but keep an eye out for that as well. And with that, we're going to go find someone to raid real quick. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the show. Love seeing you guys here on Wednesday. Thank you guys for all your participation. You guys are awesome. Oh, wait, hold on.
Just big thank you for the chat and being an active chat. The more weeks we've done, the more active the chat has been, and that helps us out with being able to interact with you, but helps you guys out with being able to interact with us.
Let's see. I am going to send this over to Zach Attack 8211. He's playing some ranked seasons. I believe he just got a monitor a few weeks ago, and he's been playing pretty darn good since he got it. Let's see. Hold on just a second. Oh, wait. I had the wrong thing. Dang it. But anyway, guys, we're going to send it over to an MLB The Show player, Zach Attack 8211. Make sure to go hang out with him. Tell him John Bear and Matt say what's up. And we will see you guys next week. Hopefully you guys have a good night.
See ya.